I met these guys probably, I got introduced to them actually via the book about April last year. I read the first book, which is the 44 Most Closely Guarded Secrets. Hopefully most of you have read it. If you haven't, get it and read it quickly. As soon as I finished the book, which must have been about 4 o'clock in the morning, I sent Rob and Mark both an email saying how fantastic I thought it was, because I felt that they needed their egos pandering to. And it was just an eye-opening to me. It introduced me to other books. So from there I went on to read things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which a lot of you again probably have read, and if you haven't you need to. Realised that I was very much stuck in the rat race and wanted to change something about it. So we rolled on from there to do, I actually did the one-on-one mentorship day with Mark when he was still running those. Yeah, and that's how, so I got started. I got started off, and I should fill in the background here, which is that in terms of where I was coming from, I didn't have £60,000 that I just got from a cheque from my ex-employer or anything like that. I had £12,000 of student debt. I had about 2-3 grand in my bank account. What I paid to do the mentorship was about 5% at the time of my annual salary. So I was taking what I considered to be quite a huge risk to try and do this, but I saw something in it that could change my circumstances and could change the path that I was walking at the time. Yeah, and without knowing exactly at the time what I was going to do, I invested in the mentorship. We did the mentorship. I've learned a hell of a lot, and from that I put together a business proposal and took it to the first person I knew who might have some money that they'd be able to support me with, which was my mother at the time. I took the business proposal to her, put it forward, and we agreed that we'd get going. And
cool. Did you have to phone her up and book an appointment? I don't know how you do a business plan to your mother.
I did. I tell you, when it comes to, I decided first of all that we were going to do it before I'd even spoken to her about it, because it had to work for me. I think that was just a decision thing to say, right, it's going to happen. And yeah, I booked an appointment with her to sit down on some Saturday morning when she was in her dressing gown and laid it all out, and we went on from there. Cool.
So again, more proof that it's not necessarily about the money.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't for me, and it wasn't for a lot of people here. A lot of people who've been on our masterclasses and furthered their education with us didn't have the money even to come on the course. I think Dina borrowed it. But, you know, sorry, go on.
So could I buff it and say, you don't have to be quite as energetic as Dina to do this as well, because she is like a whirlwind, and you can be a bit more laid back and do it. Sorry, go on.
No, and which you are, but you still, you know, you might not be as outwardly energetic, but like tell people how many properties you've bought and what you've done. I know what you've done, and like I know that the results that you're getting are better than most people.
Yeah. We've completed 3 and got 2 tenanted. We've got an exchange on 1 which will complete in 2 weeks' time, and we've got another completion arranged for the end of the month, so that'll be 5 properties, and that's in 7 months, because officially I actually started going out and trying to do this in about July. How many viewings? I don't have it down to the button like Dina, but it's plenty, and it's been as plenty of offers as well. And like you said, a lot of this is about attrition. You've got to go out there and keep putting yourself on the line and keep trying it. I don't know if anybody came to an event back in September, same place with these guys, and I spoke here, and I was talking then about the idea that we'd have about 5 properties. And we actually had some difficulties. A couple of our deals fell away towards the latter part of last year because the lenders changed a lot of criteria, changed what LTVs they were prepared to do. We tried to structure a couple of NMD deals that didn't really work out. And you've got to be prepared to take those knocks early on. I think that's quite an important thing. You know, it's not a magic pill doing property, and you can't go out and be immediately successful. You'll make mistakes. I did the mentorship. I got some wonderful tools that you guys did, which was like the deal analyzer. Mark took me to the best areas, took me to letting agents, everything to make sure that I wouldn't cock up. And the first deal I cocked up. Because, but it's going to happen, and you kind of have to learn those lessons. I think we talked about this, and I think I was paying about 10 grand more than I needed to be for properties. I was going to be driving prices up in our market rather than helping to bring them down. Yeah, so as you can, no small cock up, you know, I want to do it properly. And you know, you have to learn some of those things, and you have to speak to the right people and network. You know, I talk regularly to Rob and Mark and Simon, who's their buyer. I talk to Alison, who's well, between us, we are the investors, the only competition for each other in Peterborough. But you've got to speak to people and get out there and learn, get over those mistakes, and just know that you're going to do it. Because for me, if 12 months ago you said you're going to be standing at a second seminar talking to people about your experience as a property investor, I'd have just laughed at you or taken money off you or whatever I thought. But it was just a decision to say, it's not about, am I going to be a property investor? It's, I'm going to, and then you start solving the problems and challenges.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So what would you, I mean, I know Mark doesn't do the mentorships anymore because of the amount of people since writing the book that have come on, but, so this may be irrelevant, it may not, I'm not sure, but you could tell me, what was it you learned on the mentorship? What things, what secrets can you give the guys here that would make a difference to them that you've learned that's made a difference to you?
I don't know if I've got any major secrets that I can give them that you don't. But what I got from doing the mentorship, first and foremost, more than anything, was the confidence. Yeah, being able to, for me, it was lucky. I was able to shadow a guy in Peterborough who was buying in the area that I'd be buying in, using some. I got the confidence to see that I could do this. And that's probably the one thing. Earlier you were just, I can't remember who you were talking to at the time, it might have been Simon, you were talking about why is it that estate agents or brokers, they see people coming in and out all the time talking about property and they don't seem to want to know or seem to get, it's about what you're focused on, isn't it? And you pick up what you're focused on. Mark helped me to focus, helped me get the confidence, helped me to believe that I could do it, and then it just seemed to, well, it didn't just flow, but I mean, it did just flow.
But you're here,
Yeah.
So you've got, what, 3 properties. What's your average discount that you've got on them, would you say, roughly?
Shall I tell you where we started off from?
Yeah, go for it, whatever.
And then first property we bought for, I think, 87 grand, got it valued at 95 grand. I don't know what discount that is off the top of my head, but it's about not even 10%.
Okay.
With the last one, we're buying it for 67.5, the last one that we've offered on, and I think, well, I know the valuation's 100 because we bought one opposite it and got that valued at 100, so that's 32.5% discount.
So it's quite a significant improvement.
It's a massive improvement.
Okay.
And another thing, it goes on to the belief thing I was just saying about before, is every deal we've done, we've increased the amount of discount we've been getting. That's partly because of the market and the fact it's been dropping, but it wouldn't have happened at the rate it's happened unless we believed we could get them cheaper than we were getting them before.
Tell everyone about your plans for the next 6 months, 9 months, how your life's changed. Because you didn't tell them that you sacked your boss, did you? Or did you?
I didn't tell them that I sacked my boss, no.
No, tell them that you sacked you. No, you tell them, you did it.
Well, yeah, I want to quantify this as well, because it's not necessarily just related to going out and thinking I'm going to suddenly be a property millionaire, because I don't see that as how it is, and I see that as more of a long-term strategy. But this is whole relating to, I suppose, to being in the rat race thing. I decided that I needed to make changes. And it's about what you do with your time. I figured that being in a 10, 12 pound an hour role wasn't going to really be paying my bills for 40 years. So I do more of the activity now. I think it's 150, 100, 200, 500 pounds per hour activity. So sack my boss and do this as a part-time hobby alongside the other stuff I do.
Cool. So how many properties are you going to buy in the next year?
Good question, because strategies have changed a little bit. When we originally went into this, we were hoping to start off 1 a month and do that for the first 6 to 12 months. We're actually a little bit behind that, and then we wanted to move on and push that up. And a lot of our strategy is going to depend on what we pull back out of some of the deals that we've already set up. If we pull everything out that we expect to, potentially we'll be above that 1 a month this year. I think that's probably a reasonable target. 6 to 12 in the year, perhaps more, and depending on what we pull out from those other deals.
Cool. Inspirational? Yeah?